Declassified CIA documents reveal Hitler's secret escape after World War II as new Nazi reports are set for release. Chat, did Hitler not kill himself? Chat, I don't know what's real anymore. He's alive, chat. The madman did it. Shocking documents declassified by the CIA have revealed a secret mission to find Nazi leader Adolf Hitler 10 years after he supposedly died. According to multiple reports from the CIA archives, agents in South America were convinced the dictator was still alive in the 1950s and changed his name to remain undercover. One operative even said they found a photo in Colombia showing a man that resembled the infamous Nazi. Despite Allied forces finding a burnt body suggesting Hitler took his own life in a German bunker in April of 1945, documents declassified in 2020 revealed that the US intelligence officials were trying to locate his hideout in Argentina just months after World War II ended. Chat, I thought that was a meme. Like, I'm pretty sure even American Dad made a skit on that. I thought that was a meme. You telling me that was fucking real? Wasn't it the Russians saying that they found the body and they never produced it? I don't know, man. Conspiracy theorists win again. That's like 100-5. Over the next decade, the search apparently never ended and the CIA was still talking with informants who allegedly knew about Hitler's secret escape in 1955. Although the trail of documents appeared to end in November of 1955, a shocking announcement out of Argentina is now reawakening the case. In March, President Javier Milei of Argentina ordered that his government declassify all documents on Nazis who sought refuge and were protected by the country after World War II. Argentina was a notorious hideout for former members of the Nazi Party escaping punishment for war crimes 80 years ago. And now these documents could complete the puzzle, an infamous CIA cold case. The following information, which concerns a possible hiding place for Hitler in Argentina, has been passed on to us by a source, the reliability of which is unknown to us at this time. I guess that's someone's name that's kind of blurred out, reported to be a reputable member of Argentine society and the proprietor of a large spa hotel in La Falda, Argentina, recently made the following observations: that even before the Nazi Party was founded, she made available to Goebbels her entire bank account, which at the time amounted approximately to 30,000 marks, which money was to be used for propaganda purposes. That she and her family have been enthusiastic supporters of Adolf Hitler since the Nazi Party was founded. That this voluntary support of the Nazi Party was never forgotten by Hitler, and that during the years after he came into power, her friendship with Hitler became so close that she and members of her family lived with Hitler in the same hotel on the occasion of their annual visit to Germany. That if Hitler should at any time get into difficulty where it was necessary for him to find a safe retreat, he would find such safe retreat at her hotel in La Falda, where they had already made necessary preparations. Hey, yo! If this is true, do we excavate a meth addict in the bunker? This is kind of crazy if real, man. The unearthed documents described how the US War Department sent information to the FBI that Hitler may have a secret hideout at a spa hotel in La Falda, Argentina. The October 1945 file revealed that the owners of the hotel were major supporters of the Nazi Party, making financial contributions to propaganda chief Joseph Goebbels, and became close friends with Hitler. According to US intelligence, Hitler never forgot the family's allegiance to the Nazis and even lived with them in the same hotel on their vacations in Germany. The War Department told the FBI that they were convinced that Hitler would retreat to the hotel should Germany lose World War II or he was deposed as the Nazi leader. While Allied forces said they found Hitler's charred remains, another CIA document released in 2020 included a photo of a man believed to be the Nazi leader sitting with a friend in Colombia in 1954. The report from October 3rd, 1955, clearly stated that a US intelligence operation was taking place in order to confirm whether or not Adolf Hitler, also referred to as Adolf spelled with a PH, Hitler, in the files, had survived and secretly relocated to South America. The file revealed that an informant known as Simlodi III spoke to a trusted friend who served under Hitler's command in Europe and had escaped to Maracaibo, Venezuela. The friend said that a man by the name of Philip Citron, a former SS trooper, claimed that Hitler was alive in Colombia, and he spoke with the former Nazi leader monthly, and he took a recent picture with him. Hey yo, this is crazy! This is insane to read about! If many of them escaped to the US, they went to work for NASA programs thanks to Operation Paperclip. You don't think it's too far-fetched to think that he faked his own death and then went to Argentina? Like, who actually was punished during the trials? Most high officials made deals and didn't face any real consequences. Doesn't that make you question who actually won the war? I feel like if the Axis actually won, we would be speaking German, and probably things would be a little bit different in current year. The lore is real? I thought that was just lore. I know! I thought that was just lore. I thought this was just fucking memes and jokes, but I guess Clown World is true and real. That's not Hitler. That's Senor Hitler. Good lord. All the lore is real. Lost the war, but won the peace. A photo secretly stolen by US agents revealed a man who the former Nazis claimed was Hitler still alive in 1954 in Colombia. I mean, he do kind of look like Hitler. He got that Muppet scowl, you know? But I feel like even in the 1950s, if you're trying to escape after being a world leader, wouldn't you like shave your iconic mustache? Right? Like, wouldn't you at least try to look not like iconic Hitler? It could be a faked pic. That's Uncle Hitler. Shave your head, shave your mustache, you turbo nerd. The mustache stays on. Holy shit, his woman shot him and then poisoned herself. Not if you think you're among friends. I mean, maybe. Simlati 3's friend, whose name was not given, was able to unknowingly steal the picture on September 28th, 1955. In it, the man alleged to be Hitler was referred to as Adolf Schrittelmeyer. Is Mayor of XDville gonna come and tell us something that we need to know? Is Mayor of XDville got some secrets of his own he needs to tell us? He disguised himself as J. Jonah Jameson on the Daily Bugle. I didn't know that the body they found had a female skull. No, I didn't know that. He was photographed sitting on a bench next to Citron in Tunja, Colombia. Tunja? I don't know how to pronounce that. The report added that the former Nazi soldiers claimed Hitler eventually moved to Argentina in January of 1955. By the time US intelligence agents acquired a photo and made copies, World War II had been over for a decade, and the Nazis believed made them immune to prosecution. Philip Citron commented that in as much as 10 years have passed since the end of the World War II, Allies could no longer prosecute Hitler as a criminal of war. Is that true? Is there a statute of limitations on war crimes? I was unawares. Aren't they still like fucking locking up like 93-year-olds in Germany for like fucking shit that happened back then? Like, hold on, wait a minute. More importantly, is there a statute of limitations for fucking Hitler of all people? Yeah, that's a good question. Wiz confirmed son of Hitler. That's why I play him. That's why he's my favorite crime boss. This has been an incredibly amusing revelation. It has, man. Despite the alleged SS troopers' claims, US agents continued the hunt for Hitler. I need a video game called Hunt for Hitler that's set in like a fucking Lovecraftian universe where I play a man with autism vision hunting down all of the Hitler clues with his silly Boston accent. Even those skeptics in the intelligence community called the photograph a fantasy. Microfilmed. July 26th, 1963. What the fuck? I love the CIA now. I want to hunt Hitler. Microfilmed. On November 4th, 1955, intelligence headquarters in Washington approved of agents making contact with a person known in the files as Jarella in order to further investigate the history of Adolf Schrittelmeyer in Colombia prior to 1955. However, the same classified document distributed to agents in South America also suggested that the case be dropped. It is felt that enormous efforts could be expended on this matter with remote possibilities of establishing anything concrete, intelligence officials admitted. No other documents in this string of reports appear to be publicly available in the CIA's declassified files, suggesting that the matter was dropped or anything else that was discovered may still be declassified by the US government. Argentina's decision to follow America's lead in declassifying troves of old cases could soon open up even more information about the Pentagon's dealings with Nazis in South America. It is matter of fact and public record that the US government recruited former German scientists after World War II to work for America. This program, known as Operation Paperclip, ended up bringing roughly 1,600 German scientists to the US, including Werner von Braun, who's famously paved the way for NASA and America's early space missions. New Argentinian documents are expected to detail the country's involvement with rat lines, the secret international escape routes Nazis used to flee Germany before and after the end of World War II. It's currently unknown if any of the soon-to-be declassified reports will add any more evidence to the CIA's files on Hitler's alleged escape from death. I think, like, the most fascinating thing about this is that if this is real and he did escape, even if he couldn't take, like, many physical objects with him, I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork that was taken. And even if a lot of paperwork wasn't, like, preserved, I'm sure Hitler wrote, like, diary and journal entries while he was still alive. I would be incredibly fascinated by being able to read, like, post-war musings on people who from people who lost the war, right? Like, if we had stuff from, like, Hitler and Mussolini and people like that, that'd be crazy to read. That'd be crazy to read. Mein Kampf 2 Electric Boogaloo. I want to read Hitler's Wild Summer, Hitler's White Boy Summer. Heatseeker, thank you for the 5. It was the Soviets who reported finding his body, waited days to tell the other allies, and wouldn't let them inspect the body. But for what purpose would the Soviets want to protect Hitler? Right? Like, he's the one who invaded Russia. He's the one who started attacking them. He's the one who was trying to destroy communism, which is what their ideology was at the time. Why would the Soviets have any interest in protecting Hitler from the Allies? Yes, wonder why. Absolutely zero. Communists would have eviscerated him. Right? That's what I would be thinking, right? This, it says, a home buyer says they pulled out just 1 hour before closing. We might lose $2,100 because the seller's daughter claimed tenant rights. I didn't know that was a thing that you could do. That seems fucked up, man. Bruh, yeah. A homebuyer recently shared a troubling experience on Reddit that quickly drew attention in the real estate community. The poster says she and her husband backed out of purchasing a home just 1 hour before closing, after discovering that the seller's daughter had moved back into the property and was claiming tenant rights. They said, a husband and I went under contract on a house on March 1st, had inspections completed, nothing really major wrong with the house, we agreed to fix those things. No issues at all while waiting to close. Today was closing day, and that was 6 days ago. We ended up backing out of the deal 1 hour before closing because the seller's daughter claimed she had tenant rights at the house. There was no leasing agreement and her name is nowhere to be found on the deed. All of her belongings and dog were moved back into the house this past weekend, knowing her parents were closing on the house today. This past weekend, she called the cops and they even helped her get back into the house, even broke off the doorknob to the front door. I show up at 4 to do my final walkthrough, and we cannot get into the house because she's there. This was the first time I heard of her being there. We called the cops, and they claimed she's a resident there, even though she does not have a legal binding document that says so. The cops stated they had been to the property 4 to 5 times in the last month, which we were unaware of. At this point, she's a squatter. My realtor and I spoke with the seller's attorney, and according to them, she's mentally ill, and they've been trying to get her out of the house practically the whole month. They gave her notice to vacate at one point, and she left. There was never an eviction notice filed, so she came back to the house. This just blows my mind. Cops advised us to get a civil attorney, as it is now a civil matter and they can do nothing. If we closed on the house, we wouldn't even have been able to get her kicked out due to our new ownership. Because of this, we backed out of the offer 1 hour before closing. A few weeks ago, the sellers were trying to push up the closing date, and now we know why. Because of their deranged daughter. Now we're back looking for a house to buy. We spent 1,100 in inspections and 1,000 in EMD. We're requesting both amounts back, but neither are guaranteed. Anyone else ever go through something like this? I don't know what EMD stands for, but this is probably their, like, deposit on the house. Like, when your offer gets accepted, they typically want you to put down, like, earnest money to be like, yeah, here, I'm gonna put up collateral so that you know I'm not gonna be backing out for frivolous reasons. And usually that's between, like, 1 and 5% of your total down payment. Earnest money deposit. Thank you, chat. Thank you for being good at acronyms, because I'm not. I think I even accidentally called it what it actually is. Could sue the cops for damaging property? I don't think you can. And I don't know the laws here, but she did say an update. The sellers were kind enough to reimburse us our 1,100 for inspections, and we got our earnest money deposit back. For everyone asking, this happened in Ohio, around the Cincinnati area. Now, I don't know Ohio's squatter laws, but this seems insane to me, and it never even, like, occurred to me. Especially in an area like New England, where all of the real estate agents are like, yes, you have 4 days to make an offer on this house. It never even occurred to me in these situations where they give you like a week or less to put an offer on a house, that somebody could just go in there and possibly squat and ruin the whole thing for you. And this also, I had no idea that final walkthroughs were a thing, right? So, like, I've been having my dad look at houses for me, and I figured there was, like, he goes and sees the house, I decide if I want to, you know, make an offer on the house based on that. If my offer is accepted, then I get an inspection by a professional, and then after that, like, I, you know, just give them all the money, and then I move in whenever the closing date is. I didn't know that there would be, like, another walkthrough phase. And maybe my realtors would have told me, like, once I got to that point, right? But I'm glad I know now, because absolutely we'll be doing a final walkthrough if I ever get to that point anytime soon. I know Massachusetts and New Hampshire don't have as lenient squatter laws as other places. Massachusetts not having lenient squatter laws is actually surprising to me, because I expected them to be more like California. But they're both a minimum of... You had to have been squatting for 10 years on the property before you have any sort of, like, squatter's rights. So I feel like it would probably be easier to evict people in New Hampshire and even Mass than it is in, like, New York or California. But, like, I haven't read these laws intimately. I only know, like, oh, baseline 10 years, okay. Try our new anti-squatter technology, machete. But machete is going to get blood all over your nice real wood floors and Persian rugs, so you might want to use something that has less of a splash zone. Have we seen squatter stories from other countries? I haven't seen squatter stories from other countries except the UK. I want to say it was a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, but I might be misremembering. There was like some really high-class restaurant in London, where people just started squatting and breaking things and stealing things, and I don't remember if they ever eventually left or not. Final walkthroughs are crucial. Many commenters said that this story proves how critical the final walkthrough really is. This is why you always do a walkthrough on the day of closing. Others said that the seller clearly tried to offload a known problem. They were trying to bamboozle the buyers so that the mentally ill daughter would then become their problem. Hey, I said that. It's me, redditor Kirsche. While the future of the couple's $2,100 is still uncertain, the consensus is that walking away may have been a hassle, but it likely saved them from months of stress and legal trouble. Yes, I'm glad they got their 2,100 back, but even if they didn't, even if the sellers were like ultimate bitch tards, I feel like that would have been a small price to pay in comparison to what they would have had to fucking deal with this daughter after buying the house. So Drama Alert posted this. Asmongold speaks out about trans children. Every trans kid is actually a victim of a parent with mental illness.
You can be groomed for sure. No, and that's a good point, right? Is that, like, that's why I said as an adult, is because, like, if you're a kid and, like, you get fed a lot of propaganda and, like, messaging, like, I feel like every trans kid is actually a victim of a parent with a mental illness. That's what I believe. And so, like, I really, and this, you got a kid that's like 17, right? I mean, it's a little bit more, you know, it's like not really as definitive. But like, if you have a kid that's like pre-puberty and they're trans, your parents have a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Absolutely. And there are people in the replies who are like, well, it also has to do with, like, you know, the schools and, like, commercials and media and stuff. And it's like, he addressed that. He addressed that, right? Like, it's not always Munchausen by proxy. Sometimes it's parents being mentally ill in another way, where they're just like, I can use this as an accessory, or they genuinely think they're doing the right thing and don't understand the harm they're causing. It's like, it's just different kinds of mental illness. Asmongold is just correct. Asmongold is just correct here. And it's like, I said 10 years ago, I would have thought it impossible to see large creators pointing out the Emperor has no clothes. And some people were like, Kirsche, people did point it out, they just got banned. Like, yes, there were people who pointed it out. There were people who talked about this 10 years ago. But they would get banned, they would lose sponsors, they would become unpersoned, sometimes they'd lose their channels, right? Like, these were things that you couldn't say. And to see someone at Asmongold's size say this out loud is a good thing. Like, that is crazy. And maybe it's part of the reason he's no longer involved with these organizations that he founded. These organizations that he's no longer a part of wouldn't even be here if it weren't for him. And if he's not part of these organizations, if his name isn't attached to them, they're going to get less harassment, less locusts descending upon them, asking for disavowal, asking for them to, like, drop people, being like, why are you associating with someone like Asmongold? He's lessening the blows to these people because he's no longer got his name attached to them. And, like, I'm obviously not in his brain. I don't know what he's thinking. But if that's the reason he's stepped down from so many of these organizations, because he's like, I don't want to have to censor the things that I talk about or the things that I believe or the opinions that I have, but I also don't want my opinions to cause blowback on people that I care about. So if that's the reason he stepped down, I think that's a very, very moral thing to do. Like, that's a very nice dude thing to do. He's like, Roach Jesus. Yeah, right? Roach Jesus. Whoever is running the official White House account has been kind of fucking nailing it recently. They tweeted out a fucking Studio Ghibli AI version of Trump and Vance that says, we do not ask permission from far-left Democrats before we deport illegal immigrants. That's fucking hilarious, man. Who is running this account? I love them. I saw one with the Fent dealing fatty. Yeah, I saw the fucking outrage over that one, man. Imagine being a high school student and cracking open a history book 30 years from now and seeing AI Trump Vance Ghibli art. That'd be fucking jarring. And I only have, like, the context for this, and I didn't get to bring this up yesterday because I didn't have enough time. But, U.S. citizens rally at nationwide hands-off protest against Trump administration's agenda. Wow, I wonder who's funding nationwide rallies all for the same cause. Well, I wonder where they got the funding for this. Protesters gathered during the hands-off protest outside the Ohio State House in Columbus, Ohio, on Saturday, April 5th, 2025. The event is part of the nationwide protest against the Trump administration and Elon Musk. A woman watches the hands-off protest outside the Ohio State House on Saturday, April 5th, in Columbus, Ohio. Event is part of the protest here. We got another one. If Congress won't, we the people will. Will what? Hands off my country. Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get all the illegals out so we can make it better for everyone else. We want their hands off our country. Like, you get it. You have the gusto. You understand. What is this? Nobody's gonna fucking read this. No, can I open this in a new tab and, like, see it? No, it's a tiny image still. What is this? It just says hands off. 8647. Look, you can't just go around posting African-American crime statistics on your protest signs. That's a bit much. That's a bit much, lady, okay? Protesting before it's a crime? Our rights? What is this? Protect government? I wish I could read more of these fucking signs. This fucking Elon with his chainsaw on the Statue of Liberty, man. Is this the one in Maryland? This one is in Ohio, apparently. Protesters cheer during the hands-off protest outside the Ohio State House. Here's more. Since Congress won't, we the people will resist. Hate has no place here. Thousands of local protesters on the side of Indiana 933 between Douglas Road and Angela Boulevard participate in the national hands-off rallies on Saturday, April 5th in South Bend, Indiana. The protests are for what organizers call the President Donald Trump administration's ongoing attacks on democracy, public services, and the rights of everyday people. People in this country illegally don't have rights. Get them the fuck out. Tariffs are taxes. Super callous, fragile, racist, sexist, POTUS, Nazi. I bet they thought that was clever. Protesters walked on the sidewalk along High Street on Saturday, April 5th in Columbus, Ohio during the hands-off protest. What's this one? Enemy of the people? What's that one say in the back? Does this ass make my country look... That looks like it says SME. Did they really say country looks smelly? There's no way they said smelly. Smee! It's smee! Can we exile these people? I feel like these people should have like a, you know, couple of month-long vacation somewhere like Venezuela. You know? That might help them out. I think they'd be all for a tax that only applies to big businesses. It's crazy to me watching how many people are like complaining about the tariffs, and then on Twitter you have the dollar is going to affect your European summer vacations. Jaguar has said they're selling less vehicles in America now. Do you really think these people out here protesting are gonna be affected by not being able to go on a European vacation? Do you think any of them own Jaguars? Like, just think for a fucking second, man. Don't forget that Ohio is red. Thank you. The woman should be sent to the Middle East. Let them experience real patriarchy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Citizen Action of New York. In Indivisible Mohawk Valley hosted a hands-off rally at Oneida Square in Utica, New York on Saturday as part of a nationwide movement against the Trump admin. Hands-off unions and schools, hands-off environmental protections. Thousands of local protesters on the side of Indiana 933 again, so that's Ohio. I didn't vote for Elon Musk, did you? There's that kind of messaging again. Thousands of protesters, Indiana 933. Hands off our civil rights. Well, I mean, your civil rights are fine. Illegals in this country, they don't have rights. Get them out. Indivisible Mohawk Valley hosted a hands-off rally at the Oneida Square. A speaker addressing a hands-off protest at a Bandshell Park in Ames, Iowa mentioned, liars, thieves, GOP cowards. Why do they have the hammer and sickle in the center of GOP? What the actual fuck am I looking at right now? What level of mental illness is this? 8% of the population owns 96% of the stocks in the US. That stock burning looks mighty tempting. Yeah? Yeah? I love seeing it burn. Fucking take that shit, man. Those protests are noticeably Karen-y. Hoosiers protested against federal cuts by Trump and Musk at the Indiana State House on Saturday in Indianapolis. Grubby hands off. Ow, grubby hand! Indivisible Mohawk Valley in the Oneida Square. This aggression will not stand, man. The dude. Brother, what the fuck? That's Hoosiers again from that one. Hands off our rights and freedoms. That's more Indivisible Mohawk. So bad, even introverts are here. Just stop. More Mohawk Valley. I grew up to be an aerospace engineer. The fuck does that have to do with anything? Due process before deportation, it's the law. Get him out. I don't care how you get him out, just get him out. There's thousands at the Arizona Capitol in Phoenix. They're eating the checks. They're eating the balances. It's kind of funny how little these people know what's going on. Former federal employee Lisa Gibbon attends the hands-off protest in Washington, D.C. on April 5th. Gibbon used to work in HR and said Trump violated proper procedures for laying off federal employees. I know the right way to do these things and the wrong way, and this was the wrong way, she said. She traveled into the city from Frederick County, Maryland. I'm here to do my little part because I don't have a lot of power, but I want to join those who do to save our country from those who are trying to destroy it. You know, it's fun to make fun of these people for how little they know, but they are doing something. And this is why these people will always win against the I just want to grill guys who don't do anything. The I just want to grill guys who have realized I need to fight for my right to be left alone and just grill is what it's going to take to defeat these people. Because these people always jump into action. It doesn't matter how little they know. It doesn't matter how many, like, non-reality facts they're working off of, right? They will go, they will protest, they will lobby, they will harangue people. Not these old ladies in this picture, but, you know, people online, they will go around, they'll dox people, they'll try to get their fired from their jobs, they'll try to get sponsors to drop them. They will try to do everything to ruin you and make sure you can't do anything. And so you need to be able to fight back. If you want to just grill, you can't just let these people be the only ones making noise and letting their voice be heard. It's like I said before, so many seats in local elections run uncontested and are just continuously Democrat. If you want to make change countrywide, it starts at home. It starts with going to your local meetings. It starts with talking with other local people, figuring out who can run some of these uncontested seats, who can actually try and win against these Democrats. And yeah, they do have out-of-state funding. They do things to try and discourage people from running against them. But that's the kind of shit you're up against. You can either give up and let them win, or you can attempt to do something yourself. Gotta fight for your right to grill. I just wanna make cheeseburgers! And play video games. The out-of-state funding needs to be fucking looked at and removed. It does. It really does. It's in the best interest of those funding these protests that these morons remain out of the loop. Yeah, that's what useful idiots are for, after all. Hundreds of protesters gather at the downtown D-Land corner of Woodland Boulevard and New York Avenue Saturday to protest Donald Trump's policies, including cuts to government spending and concerns that access to Social Security, Medicare, and other programs will harm people's pocketbooks. All right, well, first of all, I've been told almost my entire life that Social Security is probably not going to be there for me when I get old. So why the fuck should I care about it right now? If you want me to care about your Social Security, maybe stop telling me that I'm not going to have what I'm paying into when I retire. Additionally, why would average people be protesting against government spending cuts? Wouldn't you want to retain more of your money and potentially pay less in taxes? Wouldn't you want to see government fat being cut? Like, do you want to be funding ridiculous things in other countries? Like, I don't understand this. Social Security is going to run dry by 2033 by current predictions. They're parasites who want more of your money. It's crazy, man. They're paid protesters. I was like, hands off the Constitution. Like, why are you getting grandma and grandpa out of bed? This guy probably doesn't even know where the fuck he is and you gave him a sign. This is like elder abuse, man. Senior residents from Arbor Terrace and Teaneck and Bristol House and Hackensack, those don't sound like real places. During a hands-off rally outside of Arbor Terrace, a senior living community in Teaneck, New Jersey. Oh, that's why it sounds fake. On April 5th. Yeah, with Arbor Terrace and Teaneck and Bristol House and the Hackensack. Yeah, it's a real place. Never forget, these people cheered for the Supreme Court judge that Elon supported, losing to the George Soros-supported judge. Unaware. Thousands gathering at the Arizona Capitol here. Congress, speak up. Arbor Terrace and the Teaneck Hackensack. Thousands of people gather at Arizona. There's a upside-down American flag. Resist fascism. Pro-America, anti-Trump. That's impossible. Unless you want to turn America into a Marxist hellhole, being pro-America is being pro-Trump. There's an argument to be made that he cares probably a little too much about Israel in comparison to America. I can understand that criticism. Those are contradictory statements. Yeah, right? This is Arizona again. All I want for Christmas is Orange Man in jail. Just 2 more weeks! Nervous Man says. Save billions, defund Musk. So wait a minute, you're saying that you have a problem with the government making cuts, saving taxpayer money, but you want people to take all of the money away from Elon Musk that he built through his own way. Hold on, wait a minute. You're talking to some friends who are not normies but don't know shit about finance? You're telling them about this anonymous person you know who had a huge tax bill. Their response was, that's that person's fault. They need to fire their accountant. My mom made more than that person and only paid $2,000 in taxes. The average person has no fucking clue. That's an insane thing to say. That is absolutely insane. I would have had to pay so much fucking more. My CPA did an amazing job. But there's only so much you can do without just blatantly lying. Some people would unironically say yes at that, Kirsche. That's crazy. Like, if you are going to advocate...
Sophia meets a lot of incompetent people in her part of Georgia. North Georgia, near Atlanta, where Democrats run uncontested in local elections. Out of curiosity, these incompetent people, exactly what color, chatter was spanked for this post?
You know, when we talk about the race of the people who are running the governments in this local area, I can't talk about that without getting banned yet, I don't think. We're both banned now, Brave SJ. Way to go. Thank you. Thank you, Brave SJ. Left off if you're going to advocate. Thank you, Binary Mind. Yeah, if you're going to advocate for taking away a private citizen's funds, I feel like you should have your money taken away. Like, you should understand what you're advocating for. And so if you want a private citizen to get their money taken away from them, you should also have that happen to you. Urbanites. No way this could be used against me. Imagine consequences for your actions. Freeze their bank account for a week and see how they feel. Yeah, treat them like a trucker. This is what democracy looks like. Hundreds of protesters gather at the downtown DeLand Center of Woodland Boulevard and New York Avenue to protest Donald Trump. Billionaires versus the middle class. Brother. Hundreds of protesters at the DeLand Center. Democracy dies when Democrats do not vote. Do they believe that the only way we have democracy is if Democrats are voting? That, like, none of the Republicans want democracy? Is this... Do they... not even getting into the fact that we're a constitutional republic, right? Like, just completely throwing that out the window for a second. Like, what the fuck kind of dumbass statement is this? Oh, boy. This is in Silver Spring, Maryland. This guy is painted on an umbrella. Pamela Hudson of New York was among thousands of New Yorkers who took part in the hands-off rally. We fight today for a better tomorrow. Hey, MAGA, go fact yourself. How ironic. This is Hoosiers again. Thousands of New Yorkers marched down 5th Avenue in Manhattan during a hands-off rally. You can't fix stupid, but you can vote it out. We've been fucking trying, man. Run in your local elections or find someone locally who wants to run. Protesters carrying signs and flags blow horns. Woodland Boulevard, New York Avenue. Stop touching our stuff! Well, that's what the government cuts are trying to do. Jessica Sato attends a hands-off protest in Washington, D.C. Sato, 36, was visiting Washington from Detroit and decided to come to the protest on the National Mall with friends. To be honest, I've had the privilege of not being directly affected by a lot of policy changes in really any administration. But I care about people, and I think that's what Americans need to do. We need to care about our fellow Americans, and I'm here to stand up for the rights of everyone who can't stand up for themselves, or just show support and make it clear that our rights are everyone's rights. I don't believe that this woman lives in Detroit. Because I don't think you can live in Detroit and have this attitude. Like, there's no fucking way. Stop touching our stuff. Also, pay for Jose's extended family. Hands off my Social Security. Protesters carrying signs in New York here. Demonstrators rally around President Donald Trump's administration during a hands-off protest in Ames, Iowa on that one. This one is a Banshaw Park in Ames, Iowa. Again, hands off my money. And Woodland Boulevard, New York Avenue in D-Land. Love migrants, Leviticus 1934. Welcome the stranger. I miss the Christians who did crusades, man. I miss those guys. Hands off National Day of Action. Attendee holds up a sign in Perry Square, Erie, Pennsylvania. They want us to go back to 1930s Germany. Let's revisit 1789 France. I can't read this other sign. Oh. They try to bury us. They don't know we are seeds. I hate Marxists, man. This is your meritocracy. Yikes! I can't read the rest of the text. It's too tiny. It's too tiny, man. Okay, what happened after 1789? That's not a young kid. That's a 30-plus man. Yeah. Marxist, please report to the glowy. Whitney Davidson attends the hands-off protest in Washington, D.C. Davidson, 47, came to the Washington protest from Bushkill Township, Pennsylvania. Why didn't she just go to a Pennsylvania protest? Why did she... What? I mean, I guess maybe this one was closer. With her friend Erin Buck, 49, because it felt important to be in Washington. Oh, okay. We're both mothers of young adults, and it's important that they have the same rights and freedoms that we had growing up and continue to have. Well, if you keep protesting the way that you are, they're not gonna have those same rights, actually. My mom fought in the 1960s for these rights, and we're still fighting today. And that's ridiculous. Help. And Trump and Musk and all the billionaires need to go, and we're not trying to go from a democracy to an oligarchy. Trump and Musk and all the billionaires need to go. Do they think they'll be able to, like, steal all of the billionaires' money and then, like, exile them outside the country? And then somehow we'll just live in harmony with all of the billionaires' money? Like, well... Bitch, it's been an oligarchy for a long time. Do they know who paid for their I want to know who paid for these protests, man! Who paid for this? This is in Ames, Iowa again. Here's another one. Fort Myers. That's Florida. Protesters carrying signs and blowhorns, Woodland Boulevard again. Another Fort Myers picture. Stop the fascist coup, citizens in Perry Square, Erie, Pennsylvania. No one voted for the muskrat. Luella Jaslowski, 59, of Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, said she and her sister jumped to buy plane tickets to Washington when they learned about the hands-off protest 2 weeks ago. She said it was important to be there in person, even if Donald Trump is not in Washington. I want to be here. I know he's not here, but I want to be here because this is where democracy starts. She said she hopes people see the size of the opposition to Trump. I think everyone since 2015 has seen the size of the opposition to Trump. Almost everyone just thinks you're crazy, though. It's just actual insanity here. They can afford plane tickets. I also, as somebody who is self-employed, so I don't have to submit, like, a request for time off, I couldn't imagine, like, planning time off and buying plane tickets for a protest. Like, maybe that's something I need to be doing. Maybe that's action I need to be taking, because, like, that is crazy to me that you can afford to do that. When they say democracy, they mean the bureaucracy that runs DC. Yeah, they love the billionaires. Demonstrators gather on the National Mall for the nationwide hands-off protest. This is what democracy looks like? Why is there a hammer and fucking sickle thing on there? Or maybe those are faces, I can't see. Hold on. That might just be, like, profile faces. Yeah, it's just profile faces. I was like, what's this fucking hammer sickle on here? All you fascists are bound to lose. Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop. No justice, no peace. This has the same profile images as that one. The people united will never be departed. This also has the profile images of these other two signs. Whose streets? Our streets. Wasn't that a rallying cry of fucking Black Lives Matter? I'm sensing the whose streets, our streets, and no justice, no peace. I'm getting some Black Lives Matter vibes here. They all do. Green does it as well, but it's hard to see. Oh god. I guess maybe they do. Yeah, it's hard to see here. I can kind of see like a line on the black one. Literally mass-produced protest signs. These little buttons. How in its 9th or 8th what the fuck year? Now in its 8th what the fuck year? The roving anti-Trump Save Democracy Tour bandwagon. Donations for photos. Oh, that is funny. Oh, that is funny. New protest, same lingo. The no blood for oil barriers or banners are in the back. Oh my god. Don't these people have jobs? How are they actually contributing to society? I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Because it's like, when you take time off, you have to think about the wages you might be losing, right? Because sometimes your job won't give you paid time off. Sometimes you don't even have access to paid time off. It's like, you're literally losing money by going to these things. Unless one of these billionaires you claim to hate is paying for these protests, and you might not be losing anything by going to them. Demonstrators at the National Mall there. They got little fucking baby balloons. Demonstrators at the National Mall. What pride flag is this? The fuck is this? Protesters carrying signs and flags and blowhorns line Woodland Boulevard. I'm pretty sure this is a country flag. But like, yeah, you know, Colombia. Colombia gender. I see. No thinking. If you went to one of these protests, you'd be disciplined at work. They're 100% getting paid. I want to know who paid for these. I want to know who paid for these, man. How odd that this grassroots protest has merch. I know, right? There's a fucking Elon dressed as a Victorian woman. Demonstrators at the National Mall. At the National Mall, we have no king. Fort Myers, Florida. This is not okay at the National Mall. Resist like it's 1776. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to get rid of these people who want Marxism. It's an outdated one when it was just the LG movement. US aid equals national security. I don't even know what to say about, like, what is wrong with you? Demonstrators gather outside US aid offices for the nationwide hands-off protest. Fuck Donald Trump. Demonstrators write messages supporting U.S. Senator Cory Booker as they gather outside U.S. aid offices for the hands-off protest. Hands-off, fair elections, veteran services, consumer protections, nth CDC, or NTH, I don't know what NTH is, I can't acronym. NTH, CDC, FDA, public lands, freedom of speech, social security. Out of room, but not out of... His hand is covering the last word because he ran out of room. Is that the National Mall again? Hands off. Oh, look at this woman. She put it over her boobies. Isn't she smart? Over 2,000 protesters lined US 41 in Fort Myers on Saturday. Demonstrators at the National Mall. At the National Mall. We've run out of pictures finally. Hands off the FDA. Give me back my red 40. A new video shows just how massive today's protest on the Boston Common really is. Bust-in activists are demanding an end to deportations and ICE raids, as well as cutting federal spending, sending a message to President Trump and Elon Musk. And I just want to point out, this is what you are up against. If you just want to grill, if you want common sense to come back, this is what you are up against. You need to get involved in your local business, in your local politics, because if you don't, these are the people who will be running things. Look at the state of Boston. Look at the state of Worcester with those crazy mentally ill people wanting it to be a sanctuary city, not just for illegals, but also for gender specials. If you don't want that happening, you need to get involved. Even if you don't have a lot of time, even if all you can do is like, look, I don't have time, but I make decent wages. I can help support someone who wants to run and oppose these policies. Even if that's something you can do, that's better than just doing nothing and giving up. And you have to realize the scope and the absolute level, the amount of useful idiots who are being brought in to advocate for these things. If you want your place that you live to be better, be part of that change. Don't give up. Anti-Trump and anti-Musk protesters exposed, woke left protesters unable to explain why President Trump is a fascist. Pulls out a paper handout he was given with talking points and still can't explain himself. Ted Goodman is at the protest in DC now. Watch until the end of the video. I feel like if you can't even repeat the like parrot talking points, how much were you paid to be here? Who paid you to come here and hold this sign? I need this information.
So what makes Trump a fascist? What makes Trump a fascist?
He does things without
Yeah, talk loud. I don't have my mic on.
I'm not really good into interviews. Stuff like that.
Sorry?
He just does everything he wants, and not following laws or he's a convicted felon. That's all I know.
But your sign.
This guy is out here protesting, and he's just like, I don't know. He's like a convicted felon. That's like really all I know, guys. Guys, get involved in your local political sphere, man. You could literally defeat these people half a fucking sleep. Holy shit.
He says he's a fascist, and I'm just curious what makes him a fascist.
One of the things is that he's trying to control the media, right?
Say that again?
He's trying to control the narrative. Like,
how did they get Tarzan out of the jungle?
Doesn't every president try to control the narrative?
They try to control their own narrative, but one of the things that Trump's has done, for example, is the renaming the Gulf of Mexico, and then not allowing the Associated Press to come into the White House. Basically, trying to get.
What are your feelings about him renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America when a majority of the Gulf is in fact on the coast of America as opposed to Mexico?
I mean, it's kind of pointless. People.
Is it pointless?
Yeah, people call it the Gulf of Mexico. What's the
Don't
point
you think it could have a
name?
positive tourism impact potentially?
Tourism has been down heavily.
So I don't want to get into a
Has
tourism
it?
debate. My question is, the sign says the fascist Trump regime must go.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious what makes him a fascist. You pointed out that maybe something about his relationship with the media, he wants to control it, but
Yeah.
how? Again, you're calling him a fascist.
Yeah. Well,
what makes him a fascist?
One of the core tenets of fascism is creating an enemy, right, and blaming those problems on
What's
the enemy.
that?
Isn't that what they're doing? Isn't that what they do? Creating an enemy? Just like making up shit that they think their opposites believe?
Paper gave me, yeah.
Who gave you that?
The people that gave me the sign. It's a free sign.
Oh, someone gave you the sign, and then they gave you the handout. So are you reading it now to try to answer the question?
Yeah, but I mean.
Can I see that? Can you hold that up?
I'm just not.
I'm just curious.
You can have it.
I can have it?
Yeah, you can have it.
Alrighty.
Bob Avakian defeating Trump and MAGA fascism, looking to future elections, are working now to mobilize millions around this powerful unifying demand. The Trump fascist regime must go. Like how the only word I can make out here is revolution.
So where did you get the sign?
All the way in the gatekeeper's house.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just pretty cool.
And that's another one? They gave you 2 pieces of paper?
Yeah.
Can I have that one too?
Free paper.
Okay. So what brings you guys out here today?
Just because I saw people were hanging out with people from.
Yeah, same thing as everyone else. Executive overreach.
Yeah, that's true. You might be able to go and pick up a cute lady with your sign.
Oh.
In this economy, Bob Avakian, chairperson of the Revolutionary Communist Party, USA. Wait, actually? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Here are the papers. Oh, nice. Nice. Open image. From Bob Avakian, revolutionary leader and author of The New Communism. Kirsche, why do you keep calling these people Marxists? They're sexual deviants. They're not Marxist. Marxism wasn't about all of the stuff they're promoting. Kirsche, it's not Marxism. I hate you. Social media media message, Revolution 114. People are turning out all over the country in rallies and demonstrations, in big cities and small towns, protesting against Trump and his Nazi-saluting hitman, Elon Musk. All right, Elon Musk might be a lot of things. I don't think he's a hitman. Could we call him a hype man instead? He's Trump's hype man. I mean, he does all those like autistic jumpies on stage, right? Like, Bernie Sanders, joined by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, have been touring the country holding large rallies denouncing oligarchy and the rule of billionaires as represented by Trump and Musk. And this coming Saturday, April 5th, nationwide demonstrators are being called by Indivisible to protest the unprecedented power grab and outrageous policies of Trump and Musk on many different fronts. It's a very good thing that people are mobilizing in large numbers to express their outrage at the heartless and lawless actions of the Trump regime. At the same time, it is crucial to have a clear understanding of what the Trump regime actually is, where it is rapidly taking things, why it is urgently necessary to defeat this regime before it is too late, and what is the way that could be done. The specific and essential thing that is represented and is being enforced by the Trump regime is not oligarchy, it is not billionaires, it is fascism. Fascism is a qualitatively different way that this system enforces its rule over people. Trump's fascism is a regime that openly and aggressively strips away basic rights and blatantly declares that there is no rule of law or due process of law other than what it dictates. And that raw destructive power is what must rule in the international arena. Without even the pretense of adherence to international law or concern about the sovereignty or even the right to exist of less powerful people and countries. This is a really ironic thing to say when these people are on the sides of globalists and of countries not having borders and of free people movement, right? This is literally just like, we want to strip away basic rights and blatantly declare that the rule of law is our law. And we want our power to be the raw destructive power that is the rule of law in the international arena, without even the pretense of adherence to international laws, because we will become the law. Or concern about sovereignty, because we don't care about individual country sovereignty. In fact, nationalism is fascism. And so once we create this globalist political arena, we will have everything under control. It is a regime that is bent on unleashing unregulated and unfettered capitalist plunder, and in the pursuit of that takes a sledgehammer or chainsaw to crucial programs and services that people depend on, ruining livelihoods, wrecking science and healthcare, undermining and perverting education, and creating chaos that will cause huge numbers of people to suffer, here and all over the world. It wasn't real communism, comrade. This time we shall succeed. This time the suffering will be shared by the masses while we eat caviar in our ivory towers. Capitalist plunder. Who ran the money printer for years again? This is like some crazy fucking projection, man. A fascist regime like this requires someone like Donald Trump at its head, a pathological maniac with his finger on the nuclear button, who appoints dangerous madmen and power-mad parasites to key positions of power. You mean not like the power-mad parasites who have been running Democrat-run cities as strongholds for decades, and those cities not only don't improve, but they get recognizably worse over time? Maybe like those people. The dominant Democratic Party's strategy of appealing to economic populism will not succeed in bringing about the defeat of this fascism by winning over Trump supporters who are supposedly motivated by economic concerns and rallying with the people who talk about not being able to afford their fucking European summer vacations is not how you're going to get working class people on your side, you out of touch weirdo. At his rallies against the oligarchy, Bernie Sanders has revived the Occupy formula of the 99% against the 1% of super rich. But the problem is that nearly half of the 99% are fascists. Chat, I don't know Bernie Sanders' net worth or how much he makes in a year. I can probably guess with pretty decent accuracy that Bernie Sanders is probably part of the 2%, if not actually in the 1% at this point. There's no way he's not, based on some of the things I've been told by my CPA. All right, okay? Like, these people are just insane. 3 houses in Vermont. Yeah, absolutely. If you can afford 3 houses, man, come the fuck on. He has 3 houses. He's definitely part of the 1%. Yeah. Why? Because as I have pointed out before, it's not just their economic position, but also their social position that they're worked up about. For the ranks of the MAGA fascists, even beyond their economic situation, a powerful, perverse motivating factor is their insistence on white supremacy and male supremacy. It's not white supremacy to want America to be for Americans. That has nothing to do with, like, the color of your skin. There are so many Black Americans, like Irish Americans, fucking Hispanic Americans, right? Like, there's so many people. I bring up the Irish because at one point they weren't considered white, right? Like, it's like, come the fuck on, dude. Come the fuck on. What's the source? Like Senator Armstrong's?
Source! My source is I made it the fuck up.
It's just like people have called me a white supremacist because I point out the absolute overwhelming numbers of Middle Easterners and Muslims overtaking the UK. Why is it a problem to say that the British should be the majority in a British country? How is that white supremacy? How is that, like, denigrating anyone? I would say the same thing if there was mass migration to a country that wasn't England or the United States. Show me that country and I'll complain about it. How long have I been complaining about China colonizing Africa? I bring up Empire of Dust all the time. China is going into countries like the Congo and displacing native African populations. They're taking African women, removing the African men, not allowing the African men to have jobs. They're reaping the benefits of mining in Africa. Nobody cares when China does it somehow. Hatred of LGBT people and of immigrants, especially immigrants from shithole countries, in Trump's disgusting racist terms. This is what these fascists mean by make America great again. It's like these people don't possess... Like, I'm sure the guy writing this is, you know, willfully lying. But the people reading it, they don't possess the ability to think about... They just get angry that he calls them shithole countries, but think about what happens in those countries. And if you take those people who live in those countries en masse and port them over here, what will then happen in our country? If you transport a whole bunch of people that do not have our values, do not share our culture, do not care about our country, what do you think will happen? We're not going to be standing in a circle holding hands singing Kumbaya. That's not gonna happen. All of this is wrapped up with and driven by blatant lies, anti-scientific lunacy. I fucking love science! And crazed conspiracy theorists with vulnerable groups made into targets of hatred and persecution. I wonder why vulnerable groups are made into targets of hatred and persecution. Could it be that ideologues adopt these marginalized identities in order to propose their ideology be the ruling one? Could it be that these people put on disguises and pretend to be part of these marginalized communities in order to paint a different picture than what reality is? As for the oligarchy and billionaires, the Democratic Party, as well as the Republican Party, receives heavy financing from the super rich, heads of corporations, and so on. Even more fundamentally, both of these parties are instruments of the system of capitalism imperialism, which is based on mercilessly exploiting billions of people and enforcing literally murderous oppression of masses of people here and all over the world. This is why the Democratic Party and those who are tied to it or aligned with it will never change the rule of Trump the way that it is. The person writing this definitely believes they will be a part of the ruling class and not have to deal with any of the consequences of Marxism being ushered in as the dominant ideology. That's really funny. This is the backside of the paper. necessary in order to defeat it. For these mainstream or so-called progressive representatives of the system of capitalism imperialism, the stability of this system and the dominant position of U.S. imperialism in the world is of greater concern than actually defeating Trump or MAGA fascism. Ultimately and fundamentally, it is this whole system that needs to be swept away through a revolution involving masses of people determined to fight for a radically different, truly emancipating system. As spoken to in the document We Need and We Demand, A Whole New Way to Live, a fundamentally different system, which is available at revcom.us. Right now, for decent people everywhere and for the future of humanity, defeating this Trump/MAGA fascism is of profound importance and an urgent need. While some politicians that are a part of or tied to the Democratic Party are providing a platform for expressions of outrage at things the Trump regime is doing, at the same time, these politicians are seeking to narrow, confine, and channel this outrage within the normal processes of this system, directing people's attention and efforts towards elections that are more than a year and a half away in November 2026. We all know what they mean by saying this. And it's always struck me as odd that these people are able to openly advocate for violent revolution and for violence against just regular people. And yet, if I were to even make a suggestion on my platform of like, maybe we can't get through this with voting, maybe something else needs to be done, I would be like clipped out of context and thrown everywhere around the internet as like some sort of dangerous white supremacist fascist inciting violence and trying to kill minorities. Like, it's the crazy double standard. It's okay for them because they called us Nazis. Yeah, true. Yeah, true. You aren't already? Well, I mean, I don't advocate for violence, so like they can't really do much with that. But I'm sure some mentally ill person will try eventually. Oh, God. An obvious level, even leaving aside everything else that's wrong with this, November 2026 is way too late. And for the reasons I've spoken to here, relying on electing Democrats cannot and will not stop this fascism. Opposition to what the Trump regime is doing will take and should take many different forms and involve people with many different political perspectives. But it is of crucial and urgent importance that this not be misdirected and robbed of any real power by being confined within and funneled into the electoral process. Instead, the resistance against this fascism needs to be rapidly manifested as the massive mobilization of millions and millions of people in the streets and in every institution, determined to prevent this fascism from consolidating its power and implementing its horrific program. And this is why I get upset with people who are just like, yeah, I don't want to pay attention to this stuff. I just don't want to think about politics. Like, I want to check out, you know? And it's like, you can't. You no longer have that luxury to turn a blind eye and hope other people will fight for you. These are the kinds of people you are up against. These people are motivated. They will do things. They will come out in numbers. They will destroy cities. They are going to, by any means necessary, try and get their ideology to be the dominating one. They want to change culture to be what they want. And if we all give up and let this colonize us, we kind of deserve what we get, do we not? This is again why I am frustrated with people who don't want to pay attention. They inevitably do more damage than these people because at least these people are doing something. This is put forward very clearly in A Call to Conscience, A Call to Act from refusefascism.org, which is working to unite as broadly as possible with people opposing the outrages constantly committed by the Trump regime, while popularizing and working to win people to take up and act on the crucial orientation. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. The Trump fascist regime must go. Every force, every program, every way people are called on to act must be weighed against this crucial orientation and goal. And as a matter of fact, a determined struggle of millions united on this basis is the best way to win over any quote-unquote ordinary people who have actually been misled into supporting this fascism. If the projection was any fucking more blatant, I feel like I might actually get sick from it. All the many different streams of protests need to be joined together and rapidly draw in many, many more to become a massive wave of millions and millions demanding, insisting, determined to make this demand a reality. The Trump fascist regime must go. Donate to the national campaign of Bob Avakian, Get Everywhere. There's a Venmo, Cash App. Go to the campaign page to learn more. Join Revolution Zoom discussion at 9 p.m. ET, Monday, April 7th. That kind of sounds like fun. Hold on, that sounds kind of like fun. I might keep this page up. Watch Bob Avakian Official on YouTube, an important message, a new year, profound new challenges, and a profoundly positive way forward in the face of very real horror. The Bob Avakian Interviews 2025, Humanity Does Not Have to Live This Way. Part 1, Fascism, Capitalism, and the Way Out of Madness. Part 2, The New Communism, A Whole New Way to Live, a Fundamentally Different System. Surely communism will work this time, comrade! Elon Musk put this video out, and I was like, what the fuck? Elon Musk unironically blood and soil posting? What is happening?
Yes. The mass immigration is insane and will lead to the destruction of any country that allows unfettered mass immigration. That country will simply cease to exist. At the end of the day, it is a numbers game, a numbers situation. If there are 8 billion people in the world, and let's say you're a country of, 50 million, 60 million, or, for a medium-sized country, but even for a country like the United States, which is 350 million, given that there are 8 billion people in the world, it only takes a few percent of the rest of the world to move to the country to where it is no longer that country. A country is not its geography. A country is its people.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fundamental concept that is truly obvious. I mean, if you took the people of Italy and you teleported the people of Italy to, say, some part of the United States, it would still be Italy. But if you teleported a bunch of people from some other part of the world to Italy, where they're telling people no longer because they've been teleported to America, then the region, the geographic region, would no longer be Italy. It would be that other country. A country is its people, not its geography.
He's so autistic. He's so goofy, but he's spitting facts. He's spitting true and real facts. This makes me wonder if he actually understands where he fucked up with his point of view on H-1B visas before, or if this is just some sort of baseless capitulations, right? Where he's just like, I need to say this because I know this is what people want to hear, or if he actually changed his opinion, right? I don't trust people in the government, so it's I wonder if he actually changed his opinion. I hope he changed his opinion. I hope he saw all of the backlash to Vivek Ramaswamy and all of the backlash to people telling him why his purview on H-1B visas was wrong, and especially him after seeing all of the stuff in the H-1B visa database that we had been looking at. I hope this is an actual change of opinion. Gen Z workers can't cover a month's expenses, but could leverage their big advantage over older counterparts. What is the big advantage if they can't cover a month's expenses? And also, how many of these are not able to cover a month's expenses because everything is so expensive? And how much of this is them living a life they can't afford, expensed on credit cards that they can't pay the debt off of? Gen Z has had a tough go economically. Many graduated college when the US was in the throes of the pandemic and unemployment was sky high. They struggled to find work. Then, Gen Zers were faced with a period of rampant inflation as the economy improved. While inflation has eased, the cost of living is still high. A March 2025 Bank of America report reveals that 52% of Gen Z employees aren't making enough to live the life they want, and that inflation is one of the biggest financial challenges. What did they mean by this? I'm not living the life I want. I want a giant Victorian mansion. There's several on sale for $4 million. Can I just have one of those? I can't afford it, but can I have it? Because that's the life I want to live. What did they mean by this? The report found that on average, Gen Z workers spend nearly twice as much as they earn. They don't have enough money saved to cover even 1 month's expenses. And this is where I don't feel fucking bad. I don't feel bad for someone living outside their means and living on debt. I don't feel bad for someone who doesn't save for emergencies, but spends thousands of dollars on clothes and gadgets and DoorDash. I don't feel bad for those people. If you're doing the right thing, if you're trying to save, if you're scrimping and you're still just like, I can't do this. I don't make enough money. Everything is too expensive. The necessities are too much. I feel bad for those people because they're actually trying. They deserve to do better. This puts an entire generation at increased risk of debt and vulnerability if they're laid off. Again, if they're making these decisions, if they're going to the casino, if they're spending thousands of dollars a month on DoorDash instead of buying groceries to cook their own food, I don't give a shit. They made those decisions. They can lay in that bed. Gen Z habits may be unsustainable. You don't say. The Bank of America report found that Gen Z's per household spending on both necessary and discretionary items has grown faster than the overall population. For example, in the past year, their spending on entertainment and travel rose 25.5%. Experian reports the average Gen Zer carries $3,456 in credit card debt. Why are they spending so much on travel and entertainment? While they're spending a lot on the here and now, they aren't saving long term. Only 20% of Gen Zers are saving for retirement, according to a 2024 Teachers Insurance and Annuity Association of America. That is an insane statistic. Considering we already know that people in their 40s and 50s now are going to be struggling because they don't have children, they haven't saved much. What are they going to do when they get old? Where are they going to go? If Gen Zers aren't saving for the future, what the fuck is going to happen with them? Why would you save when inflation eats all of it away? It's still a good idea to be saving things. I don't know what the best way to save is. I'm not a financial advisor, but you should be putting nest egg away somehow. You notice a lot of screw saving. It's too hard. I'm just going to spend it all. Yeah. Yeah, there are people who've gone on Caleb's show and they're like, I start saving and I acquire $2,000 or $3,000 in my savings account, and then I just think I have this money there, and then I go and spend it. And it's when you're saving, you have to think about that as money I don't touch, right? That's money that isn't real. It doesn't exist, because if you think about it existing, some people won't be able to help themselves. They don't even have much saved in their bank accounts. Federal Reserve data shows that Americans under 35 have less cash in their transaction accounts than older cohorts, with a median balance of $5,400, compared to $7,500 for 35 to 44-year-olds, $8,700 for 45 to 54-year-olds, and $13,400 for those aged 65 to 74. Those all seem like really low medians. That's crazy. Gen Zers are clearly trailing. While part of that can be attributed to lower wages, it may also be a byproduct of the way they prioritize discretionary purchases. Gen Zers are enjoying a higher wage than every single, class above them. Not that's the word I'm looking for. Every single generation above them, they have the highest wages. The problem is that those wages have not kept up with the cost of living. The cost of living is so astronomically expensive that thinking about doing things for fun, you have to cut out and save so much more than those generations older than you, because their cost of living was so much lower and they were able to afford so much more on a lower salary. I feel bad for people who are struggling purely because it is a struggle to just live right now. But when people are making poor financial decisions and they're prioritizing the having fun over the necessities, they're taking copious amounts of vacations that, yeah, sure, I would love to take, but I know I can't afford, and so I don't. I don't feel bad for those people. Debt's fucking evil because it drains your liquidity, which means you're more likely to run out of cash and need to put something back on the credit card. That we primed an entire generation to just accept being in debt at the start of their adult life has fucked us, yes? I agree. And it's also crazy to me to listen to Caleb tell so many people that they're not credit card people. And I guess I didn't realize how bad the problem was, because so many people see a credit card as just free money. And that's not what that is. And like, I never got taught anything about finances. I never got taught anything about credit cards. My dad never had a financial talk with me. Obviously, my mom didn't. And so when I got a credit card, I was just like, I am borrowing money from the bank. And I don't want the bank to put my proverbial balls in a vice grip. So if I borrow money from the bank to try and make my credit score look better, I better pay that money back. So my idea, before I had to use my credit card to live because I was unemployed, was anything I put on my credit card, I need to make sure I have enough money in my bank account to cover. I don't spend more on my card than what I can feasibly afford to do. I'll get cash back. I'll get extra points up on my credit score. It will be helpful. I'm now resentful that I played their game correctly because people who didn't can now just take advantage of people like me. While part of that can be attributed to lower wages, it may also be a byproduct of the way they prioritize discretionary purchases. If you're a Gen Zer without much in the way of savings, take heart. You're young, meaning you have the advantage of time to build wealth and fund a comfortable retirement. You just need to prioritize your finances. Here's some ways to do that. Track spending with budgeting apps. Gen Z is technically savvy, so budgeting apps that integrate your bank and credit card accounts are an easy way to track and categorize your spending. This will help make you more mindful of your spending habits and help identify discretionary expenses that you can cut back on. Make monthly savings a part of your budget. Automate a monthly contribution to your savings account when your paycheck hits. Instead of putting that $100 towards that new Genshin character, put that $100 somewhere in savings. Figure out how to invest it so it's working for you. Start investing in your retirement now, true and real. Take advantage of employer matching dollars in your 401k. Boost your income with a side hustle. In late 2024, 66% of Gen Z and millennial workers had started or were planning to start a side hustle, with 65% intending to continue in 2025, according to Intuit. This can help you build an emergency fund and nest egg while freeing up money for more discretionary spending. And this is where I get kind of annoyed as well. You shouldn't need a side hustle in order to afford basic living things, right? Like, sure, if you want to live more extravagantly than you can afford with your job, then sure, side hustle it up, bro. But the fact that we went from a man as the sole provider to a household with a wife and kids, and a woman potentially making tertiary income with a hobby, to now we have two people in a household working, making over 6 figures, barely being able to afford to live sometimes, depending on the area they live in. It just seems a little out of touch to just be like, yeah, maybe get a side hustle. I understand it because shit's rough right now, but also kind of annoyed. Invest your earnings. Doesn't have to be complicated. S&P 500 index funds are a good bet. They allow you to build an instantly diversified portfolio. Gen Zers have lots of time to get a more financially secure place. It's just a matter of starting on the right path right now, to leverage the time that's on their side. That's funny. That's funny that this article's title was like, they could leverage their big advantage. And their big advantage is, well, you're still young, so you have a lot of time for your money to accrue interest. That's not... I would not feel good about that. Short the shit out of Tesla. I just got another job, a bro, of a guy who never worked a day in his life, probably. Get a side hustle, then join a community and be productive. Still young. Get back into the wagey cagey slave, right?